Welcome, holy ones. Welcome, welcome, welcome to this space. Our beautiful being, the new human. And we have our patrons here, this beautiful space of connection. Thank you to each and every one of you for supporting this work, this outreach, this space. And we have a lot of our AQE course students coming in as well. When I run the AQE group format, I do offer that to the students that are in the course at that time. So we have quite a beautiful group connecting here in this space. Thank you for being here and thank you for doing so. Did you know, if you haven't heard this, many of you may have heard me say this before, but it's an important factor for you to allow, and that is that your presence in this space adds to the energy of the space. Yes? So your energy through your presence in this space adds another layer of beauty. Yes? Of divinity, of love to the space. So thank you. Thank you for bringing your presence into this space. So the being the new human is about just that. It's about being it, not just knowing that there, are these potential spaces of us that we could entertain or we could allow, but it's actually being those spaces and experiencing our lives through these understandings of a new human. So one key factor you could allow yourself to make note of is if you see any types of patterns in your life, behavioral patterns, relationships, jobs, anything that is pretty much a space of you that has been that way as long as you can remember, you could allow yourself to just look at that area with love, without judgment. Take a nice deep breath in before you look into it. Remember to look into it from the lenses of your wholeness. What is your wholeness? It is your eternalness. It's the space of you that is having this now and has had many prior and many will come after. So that's who you want to look at any cycle spaces with you, right? You want to come in with those lenses of love, the eyes of the divine, to allow you to see without judgment, because that's just another cycle. You don't need to judge the spaces of you. You need to understand them in a sense as to you hold the directive power of that energy running in that space. Once you shift that energy, the space will no longer cycle itself, play itself out in the same manner. It can't. It will not be plugged into the same outlet, if you will. I saw a visual this morning of understanding that I want to share with you all. So next to my altar behind me on the ground, there's a salt lamp. You might see the little golden glow there in the corner of the screen. So that's my salt lamp. And it has a cord that I have to plug in that is in the very center of the wall underneath the altar. Last night I was doing some filming and I didn't want the plug in the film. So I unplugged it and I was filming and I didn't plug it back in. So this morning I went over there and pushed the button on the salt lamp like I always do and started getting ready for this. And I was like, why isn't the salt lamp on? And then I remembered I had unplugged it. So I went and plugged it back in. And when I was plugging it back in, I saw this visual of the outlet on the wall and how in order for that lamp to light up and do what it needs to do for me and for its purpose of being a salt lamp, I had to plug it into the space of the source of the energy for then it to be able to have that, to do it, to be it. And so all of a sudden I saw like plugs on the wall. And I know we have people from all over the planet. So there's all different types of outlets and receptive, voltages and so forth. But you all understand what I'm saying. So I saw the plugs on the wall waiting for us to utilize them in whatever manner we need to. But I saw them as labeled. So one had the word fear above it. So, and then the next one had judgment, next one had anger, next one had love, next one had peace. You get the idea. And I just really had this understanding that it would go great with the class today to just relay this to you, that when you're experiencing a space with another person, with your own thoughts, with whatever it is, give yourself a moment, take a breath, and just say, what am I plugging into? What outlet have I chose to run the energy of? Am I running the energy of fear? Am I running the energy of love? Am I running the energy of judgment? Whatever it is, right? And then know that you are the one who decides to continue to be plugged into that, or to, with awareness, stop right in your tracks and unplug. Whatever it is you're plugging into, just tell yourself, I'm not going to run that energy. Because a lot of this, I get a lot of beautiful emails. I'm so grateful for them. Please keep them coming. I answer as fast as I can. A lot of this is very experiential, meaning everybody's really putting it into practice, right? You're really initiating living from owning your energy. And for the majority, if not for all of your life, you know, some of us have been redirecting our energy for several years. Some of us, this is a newer space. But the energy has been basically unconsciously, for lack of the perfect word, being plugged in to spaces of recycled energetic alignments that you no longer need, you no longer align with, you know it. You know it. You have the experience, you have the thought, you have the space. And even in the midst of it, you're catching it. You're saying to yourself, I don't like what this feels like, or I don't like who I am in this moment, however that is for you. So the awareness is there. That's part of being the new human. And the other part of it is to then allow the awareness to guide you and support you as you choose to implement and direct your energy in a new way. You unplug from whatever it is you know that's not the alignment I'm running, and you plug in to the one that you are choosing to run. So I had to share that with you guys right away. Another really big part of this is, and I've said this before, but I will repeat it again and again and again. It's so powerful and it's so beautiful, and it expands for us as we continue to allow ourselves to hear it and process it. So when I first started working in what I would consider more conscious, higher dimensional work, beyond the physical, when I first started doing it and working with clients, I had a space where, several spaces repetitively, several clients, where the beings that were present, the light beings, the higher dimensional beings, the teams of light, they always said the same sentence. And it was so simple, yet it is profound. And if you would do nothing else for getting out of this class, you know, taking away from this class today, if you would take nothing else away, if you would take away this sentence and allow it to be a part of your conscious awareness as you move forward as you, but they, beings of light, said again and again and again with every client, humans need to get out of their heads and into their hearts. And it was always the same sentence, always in the same way, that same phrase. So when I was thinking about the plugs, and I was thinking about everyone here is really learning to live from this space of conscious awareness. I am my energy. The energy doesn't run me. I direct it. It's a whole new ballgame, because we've been living for our entire lives whipped around by everything that's happening outside of us. The fights, the spaces of work, the spaces of relationships, the spaces of health in the body or lack thereof. We've been whipped around by it all. And we've been trained and programmed to seek all these means and ways of dealing with it that have nothing to do with dealing with it. They don't. All these means and ways and guidance we've been given, for the most part, 99.9% of the time, has not healed or cleared anything. It has only allowed us to continue to cycle and repeat the same spaces. whether we see it in our own lives, or we can actually look even back through the family lines, and we can see it in our mother's line or our father's line, or we can see it in our grandmother or our grandfather, or all of the above. So you're here in a space of consciousness in your lifetime, this experiential space of you, to shift that understanding, to clear it and heal it by understanding you are the one who is directing the energy. It is not to direct you. All right. So this plug space metaphor, illustration for us is a go-to tool you can put in your back pocket. So you have a space with someone or your own thought, right? Because sometimes it's just your own head, overthinking, anxious thoughts, worry, judgment. Maybe I shouldn't have said it that way. Do you think I hurt their feelings? So, well, maybe they think I'm this, or, oh, they're not going to write me back, or, whatever it is, right? But no matter where this is coming to you from, no matter what experience space it's coming to you from, you can allow yourself to have that little go-to of, what energy am I plugging into right now as I'm experiencing this space? And it's very simple. You'll either say, wow, I'm really plugged into anger. I'm very angry right now, or I'm really plugged into judgment, or I'm really plugged into whatever it is. The core of all of those that are these, what we would call denser alignments, is fear. There's just a fear somewhere. Now, I always teach that you don't have to pick it apart, but if you want to pick it apart, you really can. And you can, find the way in which you can process it differently because your mind understood why. You can also shift the energy and you can absolutely 100% choose to not feed it, choose to not continue to be a place of the lineage that runs it. You can say this power cord doesn't plug in anymore to those spaces, period. It's not happening. That is an option. A lot of people want to understand the why, so that's fine as well. They're all doable. But if there's a denser energy, there's a fear. That's all it is. There's a fear. So if something happens and somebody upsets you in some way, all right, let's do that, and you get hurt or angry or whatever it is, if you would allow yourself for a minute to just take a breath and step back from it, even if you have to really picture yourself stepping back from it, right? Imagine it in your head, even if they're right there in front of you. Just breathe for a moment and allow yourself to come at this with the lens in the eyes of an internal soul, not the version of you all by itself in this now that's experiencing it, right? But the eternal space of you through those eyes, and say to yourself, why am I so afraid? What am I afraid of? Even in anger or judgment or guilt or shame or anxiety, or depression, there's fear. There's fear. There's increments of fear. And a lot of these spaces of fear, they are embedded, in a sense, in programmed energy waves. But they don't look that way to you. They don't feel that way to you or to me when they're happening. When they're happening, it's just the face of the other person staring back at you, hurting your feelings or making you angry or whatever it is. It's just your thought driving you nuts. But we don't take the time, the moment, to see it as this wave of energy. Waves flow. Even if they're an energy wave, they flow. Water wave, you can think of that, flows. But if you're not able to make the connection to the understanding of it as a wave, you're allowing yourself to stay in the space in which it is more form-based. It's more physical. It's more in your face, in the now line only. And there's no eternal you present assisting you as you become and be this higher version of you. And you change and shift the way that energy makes you feel. But when you allow the eternal version of you to see through your eyes, hear through your ears, speak through your mouth, yes, think through your mind, it's all connected. When you allow the eternal version of you to do this with you, you trust yourself. That's what trust yourself is. Yes, that's what allow is. You will shift the way in which the experience, the person, whatever's happening, you'll shift the way it feels. Because the vantage point of view that is feeling it is shifted into a different vibration of itself, of you. When you do that, you take the situation out of form, which is rock solid, not moving, heavy, and you allow the situation, the argument, whatever the space is, you allow that space to go into wave. This is so big, I know, but it's powerful if you can play with it and allow it. You allow the experience to move into wave when you see it from your eternal being. When you see it from your now being and you're just like, I'm hurt, how dare they say that to me, whatever the space is, you are separating yourself out and you are allowing yourself to be barraged, hit in the face, whatever you want to use word-wise, slammed with this form of the energy. It's heavier, it's denser. But when you allow yourself to take a breath, remember who you are in the midst of it all, best you can. And you get better and better at it. I promise you 100% you get better and better at it. I'm not perfect at it, but boy, I've gotten pretty good. I still have spaces from time to time that the energy charge will kind of zing me, you know? People call it triggered, whatever. I still have those spaces from time to time, but they don't last as long. And I don't get stuck in them. And I don't see them as often as I used to because I'm teaching and training myself to own my energy. And that's what you're doing. So be compassionate with yourselves, right? Trust yourselves and allow, because you are moving mountains. Think about how long you've lived processing and functioning and being the space you are, or the space you were. For many of you, you have cleared and moved into a lot of new spaces of you. But think of how long you gave yourself to build and solidify that old space. And now you've given yourself, maybe some of you years, maybe some of you months, maybe some of you weeks, who knows, to really implement from a new alignment of you. So allow that alignment to be given love and nurture. How do you do that? By continuing to choose to be it. The way it strengthens is by you using it. It's like a muscle in the body. When you use a certain muscle in the body, the muscle gets stronger. Most of the time, people who are right-handed, they have more muscle structure in their right arm. Not maybe a lot, but they do. And vice versa, because they tend to use that arm more. So when you're utilizing your new human knowings, right? You're implementing them. You are using that muscle, you are using that space of you. So a really big thing that's happening when we understand humans need to get out of the head and they need to get into the heart is it's all about the heart. It's all about the heart. The head is like the processing unit. Even in some of my courses, I'll teach that it's like a CPU, a central processing unit of your energy, right? Your neural pathways are the avenues of the energy waves that make up you through your beliefs and your feelings and your behavior traits and your personality traits and all of that, right? It's all energy. So the head, the mind, it's moving the processing of the energy, but the energy's flooding in if we allow it. This is so big, guys, from the heart. But a big detachment happened in humanity. A very, very big disconnect happened in humanity. Probably, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of years ago. I don't know really, but this detachment was from the heart. And humans started living only from the head, very little connection to the heart. So everything was processing analytically through the mind. And in the mind, there is so much judgment and pick it apart. Ifs, ands, buts, you know? But the heart is this flow state. The heart is this portal. It really, really, really is. It's portal. Every single human has this portal space of energy in their chest, in their heart, and it's connected with your back as well. And many of you who are light workers, this portal, when it opens, okay, let me start here. Every human has the portal in the heart. And when every human allows that portal to open heart-wise, it floods up through the light shaft, up and down through the root, out the feet, up through the crown, out through the field. And it's the natural flow of the I am, your sovereign, eternal soul being in your body, in your vessel, in your avatar. And as every human has this, but pretty much every human had the heart center kind of deactivated in a sense because the mind was so overactivated. And it's all been through the mind, through the mind, through the mind. Even religions, there's so much structure of this is right and this is wrong that it's a lot of head. All right? Now, light workers, those of you who are here and you are here for a purpose in addition to your own self-expansion, all humans are here for self-expansion. Those who are here for the additional space of maybe being an anchor of the movement of the species, the evolution of humanity, and there are various ways that plays out as well. You could be an energy healer. You could help clear things and move things for people that are opening that heart portal or getting to the space of remembering to do that. And you could be a pillar, an anchor. There's so many things you could be. Ley lines with the earth. There's a lot going on. But everybody, it's purposeful. Everybody matters and everybody is doing their part, if you will. So no matter where you're coming in on this, all light workers, they have that portal that is allowing that self-expansion, just as the regular human, for lack of a better word. Regular is not a very nice word, but the light workers, when the energy floods in through the heart portal being opened, trusted and allowed, then it also floods out their backs. So it can look like, for those who can see the beyond the physical, and more humans can, holy ones, they can even pick up on these wings of light. That's what they are. And, you know, throughout history, I don't necessarily trust all of it, but not from a space of fear, just from a space of knowledge that there is a lot more coming through of what happened on this planet and who we really are. And I'm excited about that. I'm grateful for it. But I believe that some of the past sightings or historical recollections, whatever you want to say, of angels, I think some of them were beings who were you, in some sense, much like you, much like me, who were opening up their energy fields as they were evolving. And I know I travel. I know I travel in my sleep. I know I work with people in my sleep. I don't always remember everything, but I get a lot of emails from people and they'll say, you were in my space last night, or you were in a space of my meditation, or whatever it is. And I am. I know I am. Sometimes I will remember or know. I'm getting better at tracking it and leaning into my own abilities and learning them. But we are these beings of light. And the heart center has this portal. Every human has it to activate the remembrance of the I am in the now vessel. And light workers have it that it actually feeds out into their hand centers, opening and expanding. There's centers on the tops of the shoulders that light up. There's centers on the bottoms of the feet. There's a whole lot going on, crowns of light. But it is a part of the the activation of remembrance of your light body. So that's another really big part of being the new human. A lot of times you think there's so many layers to think of in being the new human. A lot of times it can come in at having a good life, every day, relationships, job, health, physical world, being the new human. Absolutely, 100%. Yes, that's the implementation part from the human vessel. That's actually a way in which we anchor it in all the spaces of ourselves. If we anchor it in our physical being, we have grounded it into the focal point of the space of ourselves, because this is your focal point right now. If your eyes are open and you're here with me right now. All right, now that's one layer. And then there's these other layers of being the new human, your spiritual gifts activating, your heart portal activating, your wings of light, if that's your thing, if that's part of why you're here. There's so many different ways of being here and purposes of being here. So please, everyone know that all are valued greatly. Some of you are here to be interpreters. I don't know if anyone here that rings true for you, or you have a resonance, but some of you are here to be interpreters. So meaning you could hear light language, see light language, and you can interpret. And or you also are very good at interpreting the space, the energies of spaces, and the conveyance of the energy, what it's trying to or allowing us to understand greater in the space. I don't know. I just need to share that real quickly. Some are interpreters. We are going to have a list of things that we are going to realize we are beyond the human. Does it belittle or take away from the human? No, if you allow balance. Now, is it possible to get in a space or even a cycle behavior space where you give a little more focus to a certain alignment of yourself that could in some way imbalance you, if you will? Yes, it's very possible. Let me give you an example. A person who gets very excited and in their head maybe also, as in they want to pick it apart about a specific past life. And they kind of lose sight of their now life. They kind of lose sight of all of that they are in the space of themselves in the human form, because they're so like enthralled or super over the top excited about they were here with Isis, or they were here with, you know, whatever it is, right? So the imbalance is the space where then the energy can slip into a flow that is not optimal and coherent. Now, it doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means they need to, the person could catch themselves and allow themselves to, with awareness, open their flow back up. What am I talking about a little bit more here? All right. Some people, and again, I listen to the whole thing before you judge it, okay? And maybe you won't judge it at all, but some people are really into astrology. And so they place every part of their, how they view themselves and how their life will go based on their sign, or where their sun was when they were born, or their moon, what house, their natal chart. I've had mine done. My sister does this. She does this for a living. And she did mine, and it was fantastic to read. I had a great time reading it. But the whole time I read it from my eternal soul, my eternal being. So that what I read applies to my now human life as Andrea, but it doesn't apply to a space of myself in which I was born at a different time, in a different month, on a different day, in a different family. You see what I'm saying? It's a space. It's a space. When it's allowed to be a space, its energy is registered in that kind of understanding, right? That allows balance for you to always come from your sovereign wholeness, because you are more, because you are more. And when it is more than a space of you, and it is seen as all that you are, then all of your energy is going to be boxed up and held within that flow line. And that's it, until you allow and open yourself up. And so if you want to allow that, that's perfectly fine. And there are so many people that have done that throughout history and throughout family lines. And you can look at some of your families, and I can look at mine, and I can see mothers and grandmothers and fathers and grandfathers, and I can see the same exact types of lives and the same exact types of lifespans even, and the same exact types of relationships and so forth. I think that we who are in this now are being given the opportunity to allow ourselves to expand beyond those parameters and allow ourselves to be more of our whole sovereign being. The whole sovereign being is going to be able to read the electrical boxes a lot faster, if you will, like we started this class with. Yes. So the whole sovereign being is going to see those spaces of experience that they're having. And the whole sovereign being is not going to cycle the same response the mother cycled or the father cycled or the grandmother. You understand what I'm saying. The whole sovereign being is going to have more awareness and presence. Very important. I love that word, presence. And that whole sovereign being is going to register the space, the experience, the confrontation, the fight, the whatever it is, thought, the feelings. And the whole sovereign being is going to say, wait a minute, what am I plugging into? And when this whole sovereign being says, wait a minute, what am I plugging into? They're not even saying it from separating out the now version. And I do this sometimes. It's very helpful for me. It can probably sound crazy, but I'm not crazy. But there are times when I have a space and I will actually say my name. So I will say to myself, I will say, how is Andrea processing this? Because I'm trying to allow me, Andrea, to have the understanding very quickly that there's more with her besides the now version alone. And I'm allowing that little, how is Andrea processing this, to remember, oh, hold on, I'm sovereign. I'm eternal consciousness that is experiencing this now in and through and as Andrea. And so there, I'm able to catch it. All right. So you might try that as well. Given some people, if you say it out loud in public or with your family, they might say, I think they call that talking in third person. I don't know, but they might think you're a little loopy or something, but it's all right. It's all right. You'll get a good laugh out of it, right? You'll get a good laugh out of it. But all right, now, so just let me recap a bit. And then if we have some questions, I'll take questions. So allow yourself to remember to come from your heart, please. A big part of this is training. You just need to be good with that. You need to be okay with that. It's training. If you went to learn how to be a professional athlete in any sport, do you think they would just tell you about it and you'd go home and be it? No, you would have to train. You would have to run if you wanted to be a runner. You would have to lift the weights if you're going to be a weightlifter. You would have to walk on the balancing beam if you're the gymnast, whatever it is. So you're being the new human and you're in training. Acknowledge your training with love and compassion for yourself and embrace your training. That will shift and move mountains so quickly because there'll be less of restriction. There'll be less judgment on the training. There'll be less judgment on the experience, the space, and yourself. And there'll be more flow because you will come at it as, okay, I can see I'm in a training program right now. I can see I brought this training experience to myself right now. I can see I'm pumping my being the new human muscles right now, right? And another little line that helps me a lot, and I say this to some of you and that have been my clients, and you will smile when I say it, most likely. But whenever you're in a situation that is a training space, and you know what I mean, you can feel the discomfort or the charge or whatever's going on, you know that you're plugging into fear or anger or judgment or whatever. When you're having that training space with this experienced person, whatever, the relationship. Allow yourself to remember you're making a memory. We're always making memories. When I hit end meeting, you're going to have a memory of this class. We're always making memories. What memory am I making? In every given moment. Presence is such a gift to yourself and to others, because every moment becomes more precious when we come at it with presence. I love the way I view you. And you guys know I love you all dearly. You know that I value you greatly. If I met you in person, I hug you, I bow before you, I see your divinity. I really love people. I really do, right? It's part of just how I am and who I am. And it starts from the absolute moment of contact. It's not something that builds over time and I decide if I'm going to let you in. I am 100% deeply connected the moment you choose to make the connection with me. I find that to be an immense amount of presence. Because when I feel these spaces of love with others, it is because I am choosing presence with their divinity. I'm choosing presence with their heart, with their space of love. But I am also neutral and non-judgmental and hold no attachment to all the other spaces of them. It's none of my business. I'm choosing to direct my presence to come from love and to be love. And I will tell you, it is the most glorious way to be. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, training, you are in training. I am in training. We are not going to get around that. We are learning to be the new human by being it. So that's how it runs. Does anyone have a question? You can chat it in or you can come off mute. Does anyone have a question? All right. Just some thank yous coming in. Very good. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. All right. So, yes, Daria wrote very deep lessons today. Yes, yes, yes. And thank you for being here. Daria is from Russia, and Daria is going to be translating the AQE Foundation's book into Russian. So how fantastic is that? And she reached out on her own. So I'm really grateful to have met her. Many of you have offered to assist with translations. I'm very, very grateful. And it would really take someone who knows the work to be able to translate it. You guys know the work. And you couldn't give this to a company and say, translate it into a language. They're going to be like, what does this mean? What does this mean? What are you saying here? So I'm very grateful when people who are on the inside say they would be available to translate. All right. So Holy Ones, I'm going to get this video up for you guys, probably in various ways. And if you have any questions at all, please email me. I'm right here. I will do my best to return your question with an answer, and or sometimes I make a video out of it and I never share a name unless you say it's okay. But so many people have the same questions. So many people are navigating the same spaces. This is not, and in any way, too individualized. It is a unity space. These spaces are very interconnected with so many people experiencing them. I believe we're all experiencing them. We're just all getting them in a different way. All right. All right, Holy Ones. I will say goodbye. I love you all so very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Holy One. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm reading the chat really quickly. Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Sonal. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Mwah. I love you. I love you. I love you.
Love you.